Hello and welcome back to another episode of International Immersion. So today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. We're going to talk about how different countries and people view retirement, investing, and other related phenomena.
Yeah, so something that occurs now in as a need of survival is investment. And it doesn't matter which country you are, you need to invest for your retirement. Either be in a 401k or stocks or any other
vehicles that are available in anyone's given country. You know, just for example, like here in the U.S., you have stocks, mutual funds, bonds, or vehicles like IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401ks. And other vehicles like this, but in other countries they have these as well, or they may have different investment vehicles that people or companies, etc., use to give their employees, or the old-fashioned, going out of style, pensions, which are disappearing here, but they still may be more prevalent in other countries.
I think what they have in China is a kind of pension system.
Okay.
Or just a social security system.
So how can you describe that system? In China.
Yeah, basically, it doesn't matter what kind of companies you're working in. You have to pay your amount of money into an account, and the company is responsible for their share, and then you put it together into the share account, and that's for the saving for your retirement.
So in many ways, it's just like Social Security here in the U.S. Maybe a little different, but the purpose is the same, to provide people money for retirement.
Hmm. So from your point of view, how does retirement kind of work in China?
I mean, my mom's retired, and she get her money like monthly, and it's okay, it's enough. It depends on what kind of work she worked, and she worked in a food industry. So she get her share of money, and I think my mom's brother earns more because he worked in the government, so he gets like more after he retired. Yeah, so it's working because everyone right now who's in this job market contributing for like the money that they can use to give the retired people. So so they're working right now, I think.
Retirement, I think now in the U.S. is actually becoming more and more complicated. Not just because of like the venues that we need to generate money, but since we are becoming more longer lived, and U.S. is not a place that kind of cares to share the medical system very nicely, which kind of I've seen my grandma's medical bills and my mom's medical bills, and those literally like drain the market. Like,
do you all have insurance?
So we all have to have insurance. It's actually
Yeah.
federal law that we all must have insurance. But that's an issue in itself, right? Because not everybody can afford.
Yeah, and that's a
insurance.
huge problem. The cost of medical insurance here in the U.S. is just it's astronomical. I mean, if you talk to anyone from Europe or other countries, you tell them, but they might pass out thinking about it.
Buying the simplest insurance here it could be fairly cheap, but like the coverage must be like only
minimal, very minimal.
Very minimal. Like,
okay.
Well, and it's no surprise that most Americans have their insurance through their employer.
yeah.
I think most Americans do, and if they didn't have it, they'd really be going up a creek without a paddle.
Oh yeah, I think if you're a freelancer working by yourself like that, your insurance costs must be like insanely well.
Yeah, and that's why
off the roof.
freelancers normally will charge more, because they have to offset the costs of providing themselves with their own insurance, medical and other types of, financial support.
Yeah. So, retiring here requires a little bit more paperwork.
I would definitely say you have to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
You can't just you have to put time and effort into thinking about, okay, what kind of person am I? What kind of job do I have? And how long do I think I'm going to live after retirement? There's so many variables you have to consider, but and you just need to be more strategic about it. You can't just put it on the back burner, And a lot of people, I'll worry about that later when I'm older. I'm like, no, you need to, as soon as you can start saving, you should start investing, get an IRA started, get your 401k going once you have a job. It doesn't matter. Just get at least something going as soon as you can. Because as the market shows, the earlier you start, the more you're going to make. And even if, let's say, you only start with $1,000 at 20, you're still going to probably end up with more money if you consistently invest than if you started like at 30 and put 5,000 into an account or something. Just because of time, compound interest, and capital gain.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's the method that in China that you do the retirement
Yes.
is through the kind of like a social security.
Yes.
Is
it's
it
like that system in China? People do rely on that. My parents' generation, I hear them talking about if there's a raise in your retirement or something. Yeah, they do rely on that part of money after they retire. Yeah, but also a lot of people start to plan and think ahead before they actually retire. So I think in China there are many. They also have a bunch of venues that they can resort to get money or do investment.
So there are some similar processes, and people are thinking in a similar way.
Yes. Yeah. Only that I think in China the insurance companies are very prosperous. I think a lot of people put money in different types of insurance companies, and they offer really good products. They have retirement insurance that you can buy. These are the products from commercial insurance companies. Retirement products that you can buy.
Okay, yeah, we have the same here in the U.S. But I would say for me in China, I've talked to people that they put like 5,000 yuan into like an insurance account or something like that. Yeah,
all together, and then after you retire, you get like an annual check, and
you put a lump sum in and you get distributions.
Yes, I think my mom have at least a couple of.
No, that's smart. It's more streams of income. That's which is like term life and life insurance here. You can get or different types of insurance, like life insurance. Of course, if you die, your children or whoever you choose as a beneficiary can inherit. But there's also
and it's also very funny because all these insurance companies are very active in job market. If you go and see, they're like posting job positions like every day. because they need people to do the sales and. They need
sales representatives.
Yes.
Well, insurance, that's a huge sales industry. My dad's in the insurance industry, and you have to be a good salesman to do your job well.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of more of the social welfare in China, if you want to call it. So this is like in the US, it's a government run system. So you pay into the government and then you get the money when you retire. Okay. So it sounds pretty similar, but is there anything unique about it that you would say, or from your any interesting aspects of it, or
let me see. I think people can do I think if you really rely on that part of money on your pension or social security, you can do basically nothing. It's really you cannot decide how much money you want to put in that amount of money. You cannot decide what percentage you're contributing to your pension. So it's all set, and it's all very specific. They all have specific rules for different types of company, and you just have to go. If you're in that company, you're automatically in the system, so you have to just obey the rules. And
so it's a guaranteed payout, but you're not but you don't know how much or so. It's kind of like Social Security here. I mean, you can kind of get an idea of what you'll get, but it's not. You're never going to know exactly.
I guess
you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know here.
That's a scary thought in itself, isn't it?
I mean, assuming that all is prosperous and not like, do you think that with a plain retirement as is, do you think you can live like a very comfortable life?
I think they can. Not very comfortable, but I think they can make
They can get by.
They can get by. They can make ends meet. I mean, if they rely on that totally, because.
But it's not recommended, you would say.
You better plan earlier.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean, like you could talk about Social Security here in the U.S. You know, a lot of people rely on it, but you can't expect it to be able to cover everything in retirement.
Exactly. Like you see grandmas working at Walmart just so that they can pay their medical bills.
No, it's really sad. Like you go to a lot of places, they'll hire
It's shocking.
retirees.
When I first meet, one day I went to pay my rent for my apartment at this old lady. She has like oxygen mask on her, and she's working. She's really slow, and she's the only one in that office. I was like, is this a real company? I never see that in China, because old people, they have, they can, it's their time to enjoy. It's so cruel to see old grandma working.
No, and a lot of companies here, they actively seek to hire retirees because they know they don't have to pay benefits because they already own something.
But is that allowed by the law? Because
I mean, if the person wants to work after they retire, they can.
Yeah.
But it's really kind of
retirement is kind of more of I see it as like a time served. I actually know a lot of my coworkers that they actually hit retirement in the company, and actually they quit. They took the retirement and actually went to another company because retirement for us is more of a time served in the company plus age. Yeah. So
especially for government.
Exactly. So
and that's the same thing with a lot of government employees, especially like military, police, a lot of different professions. Yeah. They may reach retirement in their 50s, but they're still in pretty good. So they'll go into the private sector and make a lot of money for 5-10 years, maybe longer, and then fully retire. But a lot of them are like, well, I don't want to. They get bored. They may try it. I'm bored. I want to go do something. So I think a lot of people, like a lot of retirees, especially even if they have enough money, they may still want to work because they're bored, or or they choose to do a profession that may not pay a lot, but something they enjoy to do. Yeah. If of course they have the luxury to do that. Yeah. Where unfortunately, more people, it's a necessity to take a part-time job or just work something part-time to make ends meet.
Yeah, I think it depends. It really does depend on the work that you did prior to retirement, because if you are like my grandma, that she used to work at a grocery store, that's not necessarily a very prosperous career even after retirement. She relies on her Social Security and support from us, but if you look at, like, if you come up from an IT company, right, even after you retire, you can still pretty much do the same things that you did. Maybe you can't code, but so much knowledge that you can architect software.
Yeah, and within your industry, the more knowledge you build up, the more the things you could do. So
as long as you're still like you can still do it, and then it's your skills are there. It's understandable to hop even after. And I get it, man. If I'm 65, I think if I have nothing to do, I would just go insane. I'm one of those.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I need something to do.
That's a very positive life attitude.
Well, and they've also done studies that people who retire at 60 versus those at 70, those who retire later actually tend to live longer. And also, on a retirement basis, if you retire at 70, you can actually get more money. So, but they've actually proven that people who retire earlier statistically don't live as long, because I think a lot of people, especially if they have a job they like or they get fulfillment out of it, it can really keep them going. It gets them into
Yeah.
but it really depends. So so we talked kind of about this, but what are some ways in China like that people can, besides for Social Security, or like what are some other methods that they can do to help improve their financial stability in retirement? The U.S. we kind of have things, but is it similar in China or different?
I think it's kind of the same thing, although
Okay.
it's under different governments.
Yeah.
We give them the same name. It's like bonds and stocks, things that you can invest and buy from the like services or products from banks, or they have special financial services in post office. Yeah.
I see. When I was in China, I saw a lot of security companies like.
What is that?
I don't know the Chinese name. It's like something Securities Incorporated, and I met people who worked for them, and they're like finance, investment companies, but there are a lot of securities companies with not security as like protection, but like security or wealth.
Is that insurance companies?
I'm sure some of them were insurance, and I think it was a mix of insurance, investment, and kind of a mix within that with both areas. But I saw a lot of them, all over the place.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can always invest money in different types of industry, and you can go to buy Chinese stocks if you have like money or savings to do that. I think a lot of people are actually investing money in stock market, and they can.
That you bring up a very good point, because I think a fundamental part of retirement in the U.S. is investing in the stock market in a variety of ways. But from my experience in China and from talking to people, I know that the U.S. stock market and the Chinese stock market functionally are similar, but how they are actually used and play out can be quite different.
That can be different, and that's what I hear.
Because I mean, wouldn't you say that in the U.S. it's much more people go for the long haul?
Yeah.
Of course, people buy and sell and trade, but the average investor, they're looking at the long term. Whereas people I met in China, some of my friends and their friends, they buy, sell. It's much more like get in, get out. It's much more, there's more volatility from what I've seen from them. Yeah. I had one friend, her husband's friend, he played the stock market, and one day he made 90,000 yuan. And then, but, at the same time, he could have lost that.
Yeah, I think the big problem is that current work life, it's quite demanding. I mean, the 9 to 5 is quite a long day, and when you think about it, you don't have time to day trade.
No,
right? So
the average worker can't do that.
So that's why I think one of the main reasons of that is I go for the long term just because of the day trade.
Yeah, and that's why brokers and companies, that's why people will just hand it over to them. Exactly. They can manage it. That's their sole job, and the incentive for them is if they make money, their clients' money, they make money. And if they don't, they lose money. So, but at the same time, you do kind of surrender some control over what you want to do. So there's kind of that fine line where how much energy do you want to put into yourself, which may not always be there, or the time, versus having someone else do it for you.
Yeah, and the other problem is the money, right? Like when you think about it, in order to actually make a good day trade, like a flip, you need to put at least $1 million in there, just because it's like buying one stock and going 5%. It's like what, a couple cents. You gotta buy a ton just so that it makes even a dent of a nice pocket change. So
exactly.
So I think that's why for the average that they trade,
they don't have the principle to invest.
I mean, unless you're in the 1%, you won't have enough money, and you won't have the time. I mean, I can't start paying attention to my phone like every day. It's like, stock went up. Bye.
Now, granted, you may be lucky at work and have nothing to do, and the stock, and there's a maybe a dip or a rise, and you buy and make a little money. But I mean, think about it. How many people that would time that out perfectly? I mean,
In China, some people do that when they don't have a job. They just do it like their profession. They invest money. They're like professional investor.
No.
Yeah. Do
No,
you have
but
that in the US?
no, but I saw that in Japan actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was in a train and I saw this dad with the little kid, and all he was doing was checking the stock market, like literally buying and selling while taking care of the kid. And it's like it's like very interesting.
And some of them, they have this profession as like agents. They help others to manage their accounts and.
Yeah, I bet.
Business.
Dare me to say it seems maybe it's almost easier to do that in China or Japan versus here because of maybe the volatility or just how the stock market functions over there.
Right.
There's more opportunity to buy in. To get. Whereas here, the U.S. stock market is volatile, but generally it's pretty secure. It goes up and down. There's been 2008 was terrible, but generally, if you invest in the long term, you will win. You will gain.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas other markets, it's not so much. But that volatility also opens up other opportunities.
Yeah.
For the it's kind of like a long-term investment or a quick flip.
And besides investments, I think it's very popular for people in China to have a second job. It's not like a job, but it's something that they can do, like a second hobby, and then make it very
I found
professional.
I found for me in China, a lot of my Chinese friends, like a lot of their hobbies made them money, or they were doing hobbies like investing.
What's
or
your hobby?
side
Making
business.
money.
Exactly. It's true. So many people I met, like, I'm doing this, and it really was interesting getting to know them, and they would tell me more about what they did, and it really was it piqued my curiosity. But it's just very.
Do you do that here? Like,
I mean,
you
a lot of
people,
people.
like a job. Do you want?
A lot of
like
people do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of people
a lot
do
of
it.
People do it. I know a lot of my coworkers. They have side gigs, right? So one does freelance work for other software companies, and then another one does photography. I know I've had coworkers that did wedding photography as a.
Oh yeah,
side business.
I mean, there's so many things you could do. People could do. Could do landscaping, lawn care, gigs. Random things. It's almost on countless number of things people can do on the side. Editing, freelancing. Like resumes. Yeah. Teaching. There's so many things people do, and it's maybe a lot of times people may not need it, but they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hobby money.
Hobby money. There you have it.
Yeah, I mean.
So I think both China and the U.S. you have people that do that, but I just noticed the intensity for it in China is even
different.
stronger. It seems.
So you're using WeChat, right? You have a WeChat account.
You live in China, you have to have WeChat.
You have to have a WeChat. So people on WeChat, they post their stuff.
If you go through your feed,
you
have so many things for sale.
Go and check your friend moments, and they have posting about their stuff and products, and they call themselves Weishang, which means micro-commerce.
Micro-commerce.
I had one friend. There was one girl I met. And she did that, and I bought a few things off her because she had some really good deals. And I'm like, well, that's pretty darn good. Okay, thanks. I'll get a couple things. But
so it's good. WeChat is working as a platform for all these people, and there's no cost for it if you post money, advertisements in that. No, only it's just a noise sometimes.
Because just like the huge group chats, if you don't mute the notifications, literally your phone will be dancing on the table.
Advertisements. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, a lot of people do that in the U.S. with Etsy, and so Etsy is kind of like an e-commerce site for like what they call it? Knickknacks.
Yeah,
knickknacks. So I know I have there's somebody that I know that makes quilts, and like those are like $400 quilts.
Yeah, I have one friend from high school. He got into woodworking. So he would just get he would look for wood, like just he'd go places, pick up trees, dead trees and stuff from these oak and other types of hardwoods, and he had a shop. He saved his money, accumulated, and he'd make like bowls, all kinds of really neat knickknacks, and he would sell them to boutique stores in the area and everything. You know, he didn't make a huge amount of money, but it was his hobby. But he found a way to make it profitable. You know, on top of his job, and he did it in spare time, and he also became quite skilled in that trade. So, and that's another thing. I think people who continuously learn, they can find more opportunities to make money, not just to make money, but how to make money and build on it, both in terms of their net worth and their abilities, and that will pay dividends throughout their life.
I think one of the reasons that it might not be as nice in the U.S. is because of privacy laws. So when you work with a company, especially in the private sector, everything you do, they own.
Yeah.
So if technically your business does collide with them, you're basically giving them a product that you're making money off for free. So
and I will say, from living in China, being here now, it's just so much easier to make quick money in China than it is in the U.S. I mean, I'm not trying to say, you know, one is completely true or not. It just is, because it's just the environment, the regulations. It's just how things work. It's just so easy to make quick money there. You know, everyone's wanting to do it. Everyone's in the game to do it. So the opportunities are there if you know what to look for, especially if you have a skill. And also because, let's say, you know, kind of a very typical example is, you know, if you speak English or foreign language, here it's not really, you can't really use much of it because everyone has it. You go over there, it's a skill that it's in demand.
Yes.
So you may have natural abilities and skills that you can make money with.
Yes, you guys can make a lot of money here in China.
You know, something that I actually think it's very neat is Airbnb experiences. So in Japan, I went to a cooking class, and it's this nice little retired woman that wanted to speak with foreigners and make a little extra cash. Why not? You know, so like these Airbnb experiences are a nice little, like, if you're retired, a nice little way to make a good amount of pocket change. I mean, it was like $40. So like $40 for like 6 students. That's a nice little paycheck for one day. And then she also taught English to students at night. So,
well, I mean, heck, if she did that just maybe once or twice a week, that adds up every month.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, and that's, you know, honestly, it doesn't take much. You just get something going, and as long as you maintain it, you know, it may not, you may not get rich from it, but it will definitely help you out.
Exactly.
But no, you definitely are right, Scarlett, in the fact that as a foreigner, you can definitely make some good money over there. But unlike the U.S., it's more limited in certain industries. You can make a lot within certain industries, but if you try to go outside of them, it's very difficult. Yeah. Like if you're teaching, not just English, but a variety of topics, you know, just education in general, you can make decent money. But if you go into other
people are investing a lot in education.
Yes, so there's a market there. So actually, I'd say a lot of people here who are struggling to find jobs, if they go over there, they can do pretty well for themselves. They may not make a huge salary by U.S. standards, but you have to factor in the cost of living difference. Like, you know, I have a friend, they're working at an international school in China making 50,000 U.S. That's like 350,000 Chinese yuan, you know, around. That's a lot of money. That's like, if after taxes, maybe over 25,000 yuan a month. And, you know, that's, you know, 50,000 here is pretty decent, but some regions, East Coast, West Coast, that's not a lot of money. But over there, you can live very comfortably and save a lot of money for every month. So, but the other con is you can't really get the same retirement. But on the other side of the coin is you can just save more. So there's kind of that, do you want to have something with retirement built in, or if you can manage it yourself, that's great. But not everyone can do that. It's the same.
I think there's a very popular mindset in China that people want to do their own business right now. They want to start their entrepreneur and start their own business and try to do something themselves. I think if you check the social media platforms in China, like Weibo, and you can sense their anxiety about their profession. I mean, especially with the high-tech companies, when you turn to a certain age, I mean, mid-age people just disappear in that kind of company. Everyone is young and fresh and newly graduated and very competitive, and they're wondering, what am I going to do when I get old? So they have there's really I can have that. I always check the social media and I see a lot of people posting like they're anxious about their future because you don't see all people working in companies. So where are all these people?
Yeah,
One of the possible answer is some of them are starting their own companies or business. Yeah, because you don't want to work for someone else, you want to be the boss.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely agree that the U.S. shares that. A lot of people they go into a company, they learn a lot, and then they start their own thing. But yeah, I definitely agree. They come out, they learn a lot, and I don't need the company anymore. I have everything I need to start something on my own that I can give my own vision to.
Yeah. Especially now that there's so many platforms like Kickstarter and I know that a lot of these startups get grants, like the cities will actually produce grants so that they come work at that city and kind of revitalize the city in itself.
That's a great point, because in Hangzhou, where I was at, I mean, the Hangzhou government, they are offering subsidies and all kinds of benefits for not Chinese but also foreigners who wanted to come and start a startup. If you had a business prospect and a proposal that they thought would work, they'd give you maybe a place to set up your shop. They maybe give you a break on the first year with getting your taxes and all the all the paperwork set up. Plus they give you a bunch of discounts and maybe even provide you free rent for a year. So I mean, it was pretty crazy. I remember when I was over there were some. I actually went to a couple of these forums where they talked about it, and it was like, whoa! I mean, just the amount of benefits they were throwing on, and there were a couple of jobs, we'll also throw in a subsidy for an apartment if you want to buy a house, or an apartment, because most Chinese live in houses, and I was just like, OMG! I mean, granted, there's a lot of other things you have to think about, but you don't really see so much of that here in the States.
Yeah, but I think there's more chances over there because the United States is kind of competitive. You think about it. Think about Silicon Valley, right? This is where the cutting edge, or people are literally fighting, working 24 hours just to come up with a new product. But guess what? Places like China and maybe Japan or maybe Asia, right? Although the ideas exist, they haven't been implemented. So it gives you an actual, as a U.S. citizen, I would actually prefer to go to these other countries, create a similar startup to maybe that I would find in Silicon Valley and bring it over there and actually do well. Right?
Yeah, because just like that's the case from China, but I've also met business people from Korea that if you have good ideas that may help the economy, they'll sponsor you to come over there, help you set up and everything, because at the end of the day, it helps their economy.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that the high tech companies are not very much competitive and not very too many in China, because it's kind of all these technologies kind of controlled by the government, and so there'll be regulations and rules, and it's not very easy, and there probably will be different procedures if you're
another thing.
Start up
And that's another good point you bring up, is that the attrition rate for businesses in China, from what I've seen from talking to business students and other people I know, is pretty high. Of like X number of companies that are started every year, well over half don't survive with more than a few years. Yeah. So I think it's like over 50 to 60%, if my statistics are right.
Oh,
and that was from 2015, 2016 when I was over there. But I remember talking to some business students and some professors, and it was pretty like the number of businesses starting was very high, but the number that did not survive was also very high.
That's true.
And I know that's the case everywhere.
Have the ideas,
but
it's really hard for them to survive.
Exactly.
In that environment.
They all start off well usually, and they go for a while, but then they start slowly petering out. And the ones that survive are usually the most adaptable, or the ones that just get lucky. A lot of times it's about luck.
A lot of it is about luck. I mean, I look at some of the startups that I've seen, and it's really comes down to marketing and whether you hit the right client at the right time.
Yeah, it's timing, location, your team, your business structure, all these things factor in.
Because it literally is like you could have a good product, but if you didn't sell it to the right person, or you just you didn't have the right luck, it just kind of sucks. But I mean, you could have had a world-changing product right there.
And I think that kind of is like, a lot of people, there are people who they'll take the 9-to-5 day job for the security and the long term. They may not make a lot, but they know they have the security, or you can go where you forge your own path, but you don't have that security, and I think a lot of people, based on their personality and demeanor, they'll just naturally gravitate to one or the other. But it's interesting to see maybe someone who kind of walks both. They maybe do have that 9-to-5 job or something like that, but they also start doing that, and maybe eventually if they retire, they go run that, or But there are a lot of people who kind of, it's difficult. It's very difficult to do that, to balance, but people do it.
Yeah, and technically you only have to survive until another company buys you out. Like,
yeah, it's like you just get something going that's decent, and then someone else says, oh, hey, I don't want to have to start from scratch. They have a good platform. I can expand on it. I got the money. You get a big paycheck. Okay, you take the company. But that depends on, some people, it's my baby. I don't want to sell it. But
so actually, a lot of people tend to sell because, so let's say that your company, you get $1 million, let's say $1 million straight off. Well, guess what? That person, those entrepreneurs, the probability is that they're just going to start another business right up because that's capital in their pocket.
And now they have maybe got more money to start something with.
Exactly. So they'll start up their new idea and their next idea, and they'll wait until the next company buys them off, and it's a nice little cycle. I mean, you don't always have to come up with the
newest trend,
the next world changing. You just got to provide a better service than your competitors.
Yeah. And I would say that it's interesting because the university I went to in China, they had like a whole building just for students who wanted to do startups and student organizations and everything. And me and my buddy, we did one with editing. It was, and he kind of was more of the marketing and I was more of the content side of things. And it was really cool. It just, the environment was very nurturing. Even though maybe a lot of these things don't survive, but it was a really cool environment because before I never really got into business that much. I learned about it, but when I was there, that environment was like, wow, there is potential here because, free workspace, in the university we want our students to try to really promote creativity. That maybe not so much like in certain things, but business-wise, commercial and more commercial stimulation. And it was a great environment, and, we got off to a good start and we did some pretty cool things and met a lot of people, and it was a great experience as a student while I was doing my grad program, but also doing this with him. Yeah. And so,
So now everyone believes that in China you have better business environment. They're going to take you in and think about start a company in China.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think, but the thing is though, at the same time, it's like, my buddy, he's Chinese. He did all the stuff with all the all the stuff with, marketing, all the everything kind of that he needed to do with anything in China. How do I say it more? Like getting the stuff set up, who to contact, and then since I couldn't really do that. I was the one who mainly put that in content, making sure that we made sure the edits were done correctly, making sure the products and services we were up to par, to make sure the students or whoever our clients were got what they got. So that was easy for me because that was my specialty. So I did that, and he could focus on more kind of building the infrastructure, and I'm making sure the service is provided correctly and efficiently. So it worked really well. We each had our own niche. We helped each other out, and it was a balance. But I didn't see as much on his side because I couldn't, because of language, and also even though I was learning Chinese,
cultural
aspects, the business culture, all those things, and I learned a lot about all of them. But I still could not survive by myself, and that's the thing about
it's hard when you cannot get a whole picture.
Exactly,
of that
and I would say,
a manager,
if you try to do a business in China, you really need a partner there. I mean, and that's the thing that you need to be careful about, making sure you find someone that you can trust and that you can build a good relationship with.
You have an idea, I can be a partner.
But that's a thing.
Fluent in Mandarin.
There you go. Yeah, and I would say is that, even if you don't speak fluent Chinese or whatever language you are in whatever country, it's going to really help you out. It'll make, oh wow, he's taking the time to actually learn about us. That will by itself maybe attract more interest in what you're doing. But no, I think there are a lot of factors that can play a part of it. But I would just say, for me personally, it definitely has made me more entrepreneurial. Like, wow, I can really do more things, if not alone, with a good partner, and we can kind of feed off each other, because we both had kind of a similar mindset. We wanted to do things, we wanted to help people, and you find that person that has those similar ideas. Maybe you have more skills in some areas, or they have skills in other areas, but you can build off and compensate where you're weak and reinforce where you're strong.
Yeah, I think definitely when starting a business, I would say it's really hard to do it by yourself, because I think it's kind of like what you stated. Like, one person does need to focus more on the business stuff, while one takes care of the product itself, right? Like you can't have doing both at the same time. You're just gonna burn yourself out.
Oh my God!
You'll never ever get anything done. So I think that's a good model of any. And
it's always important to share the information. Like, where you have your niche area, but you still constantly communicate, and that's super important.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the only danger that I would see, and maybe this is true. So like, Amazon's actually very big danger to how these small businesses start.
Well, look at Walmart, for example.
Well, Amazon is threatening Walmart, actually.
And that says something right there. Because Walmart, killed off all these small businesses. And now Amazon is threatening Walmart, as you're saying. So it's kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, because, Amazon has this mentality of, if you sell cups, green cups, and you do so well, and you're using their e-commerce platform in order to sell your green cups, well, they know that you're selling green cups, and green cups are very fashionable. Well, they'll just oversell you, because they'll create their own Amazon green cups, and then they'll try to basically sell their products, and you won't be able to sell your own product.
So they're actually eating their own customers.
Yes.
Yeah, like they have all these people start up things, and then ooh, they're doing good. We'll just consume them.
Yeah.
It's so different from the Chinese platform. Alibaba.
Yeah.
Alibaba is like a very good environment for a small business that you can start an online store. I think there's requirements right now.
Of course.
Very strict requirements, but it's not really hard as long as you can meet all those requirements, and you can start a store. It's only that they will never steal your products, and they will never consume their own customers, but they will ask for different ways that they can look for different ways, and they can take advantage of it, because you have to decorate your online store. You have to put in marketing, in advertisement.
Yeah, I think it's because they have more of a more comprehensive approach. The more entities they bring on, the more business and the more.
And another thing that they can make money, because Alipay is a part of Alibaba.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with all this currency circulation, they don't have to worry about anything.
Because they're you could say they're more of a comprehensive company. They don't have one. They have they have everything they need within both internal and then surrounding them. So it's a great.
So the I think that's actually kind of a big problem, because I'm not sure if there's one specific whole platform like Alibaba. The best platform, I think, for e-commerce right now is Shopify, in which it provides you the ability to start your store with inventory analytics and payment methods. But I think they use another payment system. I don't think they have their own internal one. But having those tools, that ecosystem of tools like Alibaba has, I think that's rare. And I think Amazon will eventually get there. They're about to own healthcare, and I think they're about to own a bank.
Yeah.
They're
boy.
So ambitious.
Man.
Hard charging.
That's a nation.
Almost. Yeah.
Well, you've seen in the last century the kind of the rise of the corporation, just in the abilities and just the sheer magnitude of services, and just what they can internalize.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a TV show once that it was set in the future, and the idea was that companies were the government. And if you think about it, that's not that far-fetched. I mean,
money always equals to power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So, like, you think about how companies levy congressmen by making donations.
I mean, think about how many lobbyists there are for a congressman in the U.S.
Man.
It's pretty.
So, like, you know, they put a little money in there, and the government it allows this because it's a donation. You know, like, donate to me. So it's you know, I could see a world where companies literally are the government. So.
And I think, I think in many cases, you know, a lot of people, you know, the desire for financial security later in life and is a one big driving force behind a lot of their ambition in what they do, you know. So I think a lot of this has to do, you know, it's ideas, creativity, and economic stimulation. But on a personal level, you have to think about, okay, what's it going to do for me? Well, make me money, you know, maybe, you know, consistent income if I have a company, and that's going to support me later in life. And even if and also you create something when you're young, that's going to continue to pay you once you put the initial effort into it. I mean, that's nothing better than that.
Yeah, you gotta work to retire.
Yeah. Regardless of what you do, you gotta work. Maybe it may be different, maybe in different capacities, and maybe in different ways, but you gotta put that work in order to be able to retire sooner or later. But I think
there's something nice about the United States that I noticed, that you have very strong social charity organizations that support people. In campus, you do know that on campus people can get free food. It's like monthly.
Oh wow!
Yes, if you register and you give your information, and you can get some food, some vegetables, rice, or
some basic
toilet necessities,
or toiletries
are things that you can get from campus. And I know that churches also do have.
Oh yeah, churches are a huge
send stuff to
place
people.
For that.
Yeah, and it's very nice to see. Very impressive.
I mean, would you say that it's the same in China, or do you not see as much? Or
did you see anything like that in China while you were in China?
Honestly, no.
I have no idea. I'm sure that they have. Government have charity. They have. There will be charities, but I don't see that quite often. Here in the United States, it's like every day. You come across people. I have like 2 guys living downstairs of my apartment. They rely on this monthly charity.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. When I was there the 4 years, I never really it's not visible, to say the least. I don't see it. It's like
not
much.
Visible, but I think the social workers, they visit homes in China and they send stuff there. It's not like they don't make it like public or.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. In the U.S., it's much more publicized and it's more public. In China, they have it, but it's not as public. But
I remember something. Yes, these families can get some money. I mean, if you meet some requirements, if like in your family someone is disabled, or if someone don't work because of a disability or something, you get money from the government.
Oh, just like disability here in the U.S. Like if you get hurt in a job,
disability or any kind of issues with according to your family conditions, like something that they have rules that you can get money, you can get support from the government. It's just that they don't make it public. You can never tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit harder here. It's a process, definitely here.
Well, you know, just like my mother, for example, she had a heart condition that's luckily healing, but she's on disability now because while she's recovering, it took her a while to get all this stuff, all the paperwork and all the processes completed in order to do it. So it's definitely, you know, a lot of people can get it, but it can be rather difficult, if not very difficult, to get everything done to actually receive that aid. You know, but it's all about why you need it and how you go about getting it and what type of disability or aid you can get. But I think at the end of the day, you know, every country, you know, they treat retirement in both a similar or a different way, and the ways they get to it as we've talked about, can vary widely. But I think in the case of China and the U.S., the overall goal is the same, but how it actually is played out, sure, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also some interesting differences that we've discussed. But
so it's important that you rely on yourself.
I think that's a very, very central theme here. Is that at the end of the day, don't just rely. Oh, the Social Security will take care of me, or the social credit, or this, social insurance will take care of me. It may, but why risk it when you have the opportunity to?
Are lonely.
Yeah, loneliness is a very common trend around the world, unfortunately.
Sadly.
So, but I think at the end of the day, I think that from talking, it's just be proactive, seek out new opportunities.
Let's work hard.
Yeah, or
for
work
retirement.
smarter, not harder.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, start working toward retirement as soon as you can. It doesn't matter what you do; it just get something going. Yeah. And I think that's kind of a common thread around the world, and it's kind of cool to meet people and talk about it and see, okay, what are the similarities, what are the differences, and you never know, because I think the more interaction and the more discussion about this, the more every country, every system can influence and actually help themselves out. Okay, that works good there. Ooh, we could try that. Oh, that's good over there. Maybe we could give that to them, etc. Yeah. So I would just say, have an eclectic mindset. Take what works. It doesn't matter where it's from necessarily, and put it to work.
Yeah. I think it's what Scarlett said. Work hard. All right. Well, I think that's retirement and a little bit of entrepreneurship in this podcast. Hopefully. So please send us any comments or questions that you guys have at International Immersions podcast @gmail.com with any comments, question on or any topics you would like to hear in the future. I guess we'll sign off with adios.
Goodbye. 再见.
Okay, if anyone has an idea to do business in China, someone from China may be able to help. 再见.
Yeah, we'll send Scarlett.
All right, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you next time.